Welcome to US Market Brief, your fast track to today's biggest stock market stories. Like and subscribe to support us and stay ahead on Wall Street. Here are the brief highlights of today's top stories. Trump asks Supreme Court to quickly hear appeal to save his tariffs. Jet2 shares drop 14% as travel firm dampens profit expectations. Figma's stock plunges after company's first earnings report since IPO. Trump to host tech CEOs over dinner for inaugural event in renovated Rose Garden. Luxury carmaker Porsche to drop out of Germany's DAX index as US tariffs bite. Burberry to return to FTSE 100 after a year's absence as overhaul strategy gains pace. Huawei launches second trifold smartphone at $2,500 as it looks to cement comeback. Gold is at an all-time high. Here's what a Costco bar bought a year ago is worth now. 68 jobs may qualify for Trump's $25,000, no tax on tips deduction. Salesforce CEO calls guidance appropriately conservative as stock declines after earnings. Salesforce's soft guidance gives the skeptics more fuel. Here's why we are hanging on. Judge voids $2.20 billion Harvard funding freeze by Trump administration. Italy used to be the bad boy of Europe. Now, France is taking the baton. Nasdaq's listing plans will make it harder for small Chinese companies to go public in the US. Asia-Pacific markets close mostly higher, tracking tech rally on Wall Street. Now, let's dive deeper into the details. Former President Donald Trump has requested the Supreme Court to expedite his appeal regarding tariffs.
Lower courts ruled against Trump, stating he exceeded his authority when implementing tariffs on numerous countries.
This legal challenge questions a core element of Trump's trade policies.
Trump hopes the Supreme Court will hear the case in November and quickly decide on the tariffs' legality.
Typically, the Supreme Court would take significantly longer to issue a decision.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent argues the lower court's decision hinders the president's diplomatic and economic authority.
Trump's filings emphasize potential economic disruption if the ruling is delayed, citing billions in already collected tariffs.
A delayed decision could create significant challenges in unwinding the tariffs if they are deemed illegal.
Jet2 shares dropped sharply today, falling as much as 20% before recovering slightly to a 14% loss.
The airline announced that its earnings would likely be at the lower end of previous projections.
This comes as customers delay bookings, affecting the company's visibility for the remainder of the summer and into the winter season.
Jet2 plans to reduce the number of seats for sale and maintain competitive pricing.
European markets saw mixed results today, with the stock's 600 up slightly.
France's CAC 40 was down, while Germany's DAX and the United Kingdom's FTSE 100 both saw modest gains.
Travel stocks were the worst performers overall, dragged down by the news from Jet2.
Elsewhere, French pharmaceutical company Sanofi saw its shares fall 10% after disappointing drug study results.
Figma shares dropped 14% after the design software company released its first earnings report since its July initial public offering.
The company reported break-even earnings per share, matching expectations.
Revenue reached $249.6 million, slightly exceeding the projected $248.8 million.
This represents a 41% year-over-year increase from the second quarter of the previous year.
Figma reported a net income of $846,000, a significant improvement from last year's second quarter loss.
For the third quarter, Figma projects revenue between $263 and $265 million.
This forecast suggests approximately 33% growth.
The company anticipates full-year revenue exceeding $1.02 billion, surpassing analyst predictions.
President Trump will host a dinner for prominent technology and business leaders.
The event will take place Thursday in the White House's newly renovated Rose Garden.
Attendees include Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, Bill Gates, and Sam Altman.
The dinner follows a separate White House event on artificial intelligence hosted by Melania Trump.
This gathering highlights the complex relationship between Trump and the tech industry.
Many of these leaders have sought closer ties with the administration.
Other invitees include Greg Brockman, Sergey Brin, Shyam Sankar, and Alexander Wang.
Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, Safra Katz, and David Limp are also invited.
Luxury carmaker Porsche will leave Germany's DAX index.
This follows a significant drop in Porsche's share price.
United States tariffs on European cars have impacted the company.
Porsche will be replaced by Scout 24 on September 22.
Porsche will join the MDAX index later this month.
The company has been affected by tariffs, weak Chinese demand, and slow electric vehicle adoption.
Porsche's shares have dropped over 30% in the past year.
CEO Oliver Bloom aims to return to the DAX quickly.
Huawei launched its second trifold smartphone, the Mate X-Ts.
The Chinese tech giant aims to solidify its domestic comeback and re-enter international markets.
The Mate X-Ts starts at 17,999 Chinese yuan, approximately 2,520 United States dollars.
The highest memory model costs 21,999 yuan.
This trifold phone has two hinges, allowing it to fold at 2 points.
When unfolded, it resembles a tablet.
Huawei pioneered this concept last year with the original Mate X-T.
That device initially launched in China and later in select international markets.
Gold prices reached a record high Wednesday.
If you bought a gold bar from Costco a year ago, it is likely worth significantly more now.
Gold traded at approximately $3,549 per ounce Wednesday morning, a 42% increase from about $2,500 a year ago.
However, dealer fees and taxes will affect your final profit.
Investors often turn to gold during uncertain economic times.
Lower interest rates make non-interest-bearing assets like gold more attractive.
Current inflation concerns and economic anxieties are driving gold prices higher.
A 1-ounce Costco gold bar bought last September for $2,679 would be worth approximately $3,549 today.
The Treasury Department released a preliminary list of jobs eligible for President Trump's new tip deduction.
This deduction, part of his tax bill, allows certain workers to deduct up to $25,000 in qualified tips annually.
The deduction applies from 2025 through 2028.
Both political parties discussed eliminating tip taxes during the 2024 presidential campaign.
The official proposed list will be published in the Federal Register for public comment.
The Treasury Department expects the final list to be largely unchanged from the preliminary version.
This preliminary release comes about a month before the October 2 occupation list deadline.
There have been questions about who qualifies since the bill passed this summer.
Salesforce Chief Executive Officer Mark Benioff defended the company's guidance despite Wall Street disappointment.
In a CNBC interview, Benioff stated the results were fantastic and the guidance appropriately conservative.
Salesforce exceeded earnings and revenue estimates but issued disappointing guidance, leading to a stock dip in extended trading.
The company's stock has declined over 23% this year due to concerns about slowing revenue growth.
Benioff highlighted Salesforce's artificial intelligence product as a key differentiator, not simply repackaged ChatGPT.
He emphasized its ability to transform businesses and its successful implementation within Salesforce itself.
Benioff cited reduced staffing in service and support due to the implementation of artificial intelligence agents.
He also touted Salesforce's success with the United States government, including a win against Palantir with the Army due to lower pricing.
Salesforce reported better than expected second quarter results.
However, the stock declined after hours due to concerns about the third quarter revenue guidance.
Second quarter revenue increased 10% year over year to $10.24 billion, exceeding expectations.
Adjusted earnings per share were $2.91, beating estimates.
Shares fell over 5% after hours to around $242.
Salesforce's second quarter results were better than expected across almost every metric.
Sales in its three largest applications, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, and Platform and Other, were better than expected.
Operating margins also exceeded estimates.
A federal judge ruled the Trump administration illegally froze $2.2 billion in grant funds for Harvard University.
The judge called the freeze a targeted, ideologically motivated assault on the country's premier universities.
Judge Allison Burroughs agreed that the administration retaliated against Harvard.
Harvard refused to comply with demands for reforms violating First Amendment protections.
The ruling vacates the freeze orders affecting Harvard.
The White House plans to appeal the decision.
The Trump administration froze the grants after Harvard rejected demands to end diversity programs.
Harvard also refused to screen international students for ideological biases, including anti-Semitism.
France is being compared to Italy, a country known for political instability.
This comparison comes as France faces another vote of confidence next week.
Political infighting and budget disagreements contribute to France's current situation.
Economists are now questioning if France is becoming the new Italy.
France's fiscal outlook is currently worse than Italy's, according to Nomura analysts.
While Italy's debt is higher, France's deficit is significantly larger.
France's 2024 debt was 113% of its GDP, compared to Italy's 135%.
However, France's deficit was 5.8% of GDP, while Italy's was 3.4%.
Nasdaq is planning new listing requirements that will make it harder for small Chinese companies to go public in the United States.
The exchange will require companies operating primarily in China to raise at least $25 million in initial public offerings.
This move comes amid ongoing tensions between the United States and China, and as Nasdaq faces broader financial market challenges.
The new rule is a response to concerns about small initial public offerings and potential market manipulation.
In 2024, 35 small China-based companies listed in New York, roughly twice the number of United States-based microcap listings.
Nasdaq noted these Chinese listings pose greater risk to United States investors due to difficulties in taking legal action against entities involved in potentially manipulative trading.
The United States Securities and Exchange Commission needs to formally approve Nasdaq's proposal.
Companies already in the initial public offering process would have 30 days to complete the process under prior rules.
Asia-Pacific markets closed mostly higher Thursday, following a technology rally on Wall Street.
This rally boosted the Standard & Poor's 500 and Nasdaq Composite, despite economic concerns.
Japan's Nikkei 225 jumped 1.53% to 42,580.27, driven by technology stocks like SoftBank Group.
SoftBank surged over 6%, while Fujikura and Advantest also saw gains.
However, Nidec Corporation plummeted after announcing an accounting probe.
Australia's S&P, ASX 200 climbed 1% to 8,826.5, aided by increased household spending.
Household spending in Australia rose 0.5% in July compared to the prior month.
South Korea's Kospi gained 0.52%, and the Kosdaq added 1.08%.
That's a wrap on this episode of US Market Brief. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time with more stock market updates, earnings highlights, and insights from Wall Street.